watch how this shoreline falls into the sea and another is made where it shouldn't have been. The new shoreline won't be ready for the water. It will wonder how it got there, how it, the land, met the sea. Everything will be strange. Some of us won't mind. Those of us born without the knowledge of the former shoreline, without memory of this land, having been here, will simply carry on. Life is normal. Life is normal. But those of us that remember, like me, will cry ourselves to sleep every night. This here land, here in Louisiana, was where we walked with our fathers, sang with our mothers, held our lovers in the dark. In 50 years' time, maybe less, if things keep up the way they've been going along here in the Gulf, we will have only what's in memory, if memory still be with us then.
My son was arrested 3 months ago. They shaved his head, took his clothes, and gave him electric shocks. He's a student at university. He was protesting in the streets, protesting against the government, here in Venezuela. You may have seen the news, or perhaps you don't watch CNN in Spanish. My cousins in Miami, Los Angeles, Chicago, Louisville, New York tell me that they track the news, what's going on here, online, and stay up late to watch satellite news channels, especially the ones from Spain and Mexico, because they have longer news segments devoted to what's happening here, and also because my cousins don't really trust CNN in Spanish to give them the full, unbiased picture. Co-opted bastards, they say. I don't argue, I listen. My cousins say that their acquaintances don't really think about Venezuela. They barely think about South America at all, even though they drink coffee from Costa Rica and wine from Argentina. My cousins say that their friends' references stop at Mexico. Tales of drug wars, soap opera stars, express kidnappings, daily murders, and border crossers dying in the desert. These acquaintances of my cousins have seen a lot of movies. They like to believe that's all there is. My cousins say that their acquaintances barely remember Hugo Chavez. Wasn't he the leader that met with President Obama a few times? The oil guy, right? Wore white shirts and beige pants, had a big smile, charismatic fellow. Died, didn't he? When was it? My cousin's acquaintances have no real idea who's in power here, and would rather watch news about atrocities and curtailed freedoms on other continents. Sexier, they say. They use that word? I ask. The cousins nod and say, I don't argue. I listen. Although inside, I think about how I believed in Chavez, how I had marched and sang, and how the dream of a new America had once given me hope. My son has been in prison for 3 months. The authorities won't tell me when he'll be released. He's an enemy of the state because he laid his body down on the street, along with all the other university students, to protest the state of this country, the state of our so-called government. No more! No mas! The students shouted. I told my son that day, the day of the protest, that this war would not easily be won. He looked at me and said, "Is it a war?" I said, "They have guns, they have rifles, they will use them against you if the president orders them to do so. For all intents and purposes, this is a war, even if the authorities call it otherwise." He looked at me and said, "Well, if all wars are easily won, no one would ever take a stand." I kissed his forehead. I held him close. I prayed nothing bad would happen to him. I'm still praying.
It's been 2 years now. Old news, they say. There have been so many mass shootings in this country since then. Ours, here in Aurora, here in Colorado, will always be known as the one connected to the Batman movie. The Dark Knight Rises. I hate that movie. Hate Batman, always did. Not just now, always. My daughter was in the theater. She was shot by that boy. The one with the wild hair. She is still alive, so I guess in most people's eyes we're lucky. She made it through after all. but she's not the same anymore. Something to do with her brain. It'll take years, the doctors tell us. We wait. I bought new curtains the other day. They were on sale at Target. I wish they'd changed their logo. But the curtains were at a good price, so Dale and I are going to put them up later tonight. Dale is my partner. We're doing okay considering what some of the other families. My daughter has her own room. She's quiet most of the time. She used to sing, opera. We paid for so many years of voice lessons and all sorts of music classes. No one in our family has had anything to do with opera, ever. We're ranch people. In the Maine, horses, pigs, and rodeo shows. This opera thing was all new to us. The recitals and all the practicing. Soprano. My daughter is, really lovely voice. I always thought she could go on that TV show and try to win $1 million. Because what are the chances, right? Of actually making a living as an opera singer in this country? I never said that, not to her, not directly, but I worried, you know? Guess that's what parents do. Wanted her to be able to support herself, have a life. 3 days ago, a man was killed and another wounded at a shooting on North Smith Street. It was on the news. We live blocks away, but it could have been here. I check my daughter's room every night. I check all the windows, and Dale checks the garage. Sometimes, it's as if the only thing you can smell in the air is gunpowder.